And we're live. Hello. Uh, well, what are you doing, Alicia? I think she's Instagram.
I was just making an Instagram, sorry.
No worries. It's fine. So, hello, everyone. So, welcome to CAP webinar today with me, Fido, and also Alicia. So, today we will discuss about co-living space. As you know, it's growing. It's like everybody is like opening a new co-living space and stuff. So we would like go deep into this world. But first of all, I would like to introduce myself again. My name is Fido Crisaldi, and I am the coordinator of Co-working Alliance Asia Pacific. So Co-working Alliance Asia Pacific, or CAP, is, how do you say, it's like the UN of co-working space. At the moment, we have 30 organizations, and this in these 30 organizations, they also have like co-working space, like 40 spaces and in 30 cities from New Zealand to Saudi Arabia, which is pretty cool. And at the moment, we are also busy launching a virtual platform for our co-working spaces, for the co-working spaces, so that they can connect with each other. We're working together with organizations for business as well. And at the moment, I'm actually here at Rome, one of the co-living space in Bali. And guess what? I can see Alicia from here actually. She's sitting not really far from me, but then we need to be kind of away because otherwise it's going to be an echo and stuff. But a little bit about Alicia before I come to her. Oh, there you go. Hi. This is just kind of funny that we're very close to each other. Right. So, but before I'm going to introduce a bit about Alicia. So, Alicia has spent in the past 2 years traveling globe and working with curious people who are interested in interested in redefining the future of their life and work. So, in the past, Alicia has built and sold a small company in Canada. Also consulted in technology event programming, education, and strategic partnerships with the AFEDA Institute of Canada. So at the moment, he considers Bali as her home base, where he leads Rome's global community strategy and team. And he believes that the future of hospitality brings us closer to a world without borders. So thank you, Alicia, for coming and speaking to us today. We're very pleased to have you here today. So how are you, by the way?
Sorry, I'm getting that lag again. Did you say how am I today?
Yes, I said, how are you today?
Well, I'm so great today. Thank you for the lovely introduction that makes me sound so important.
You are important.
And I'm just excited. Oh, thank you so much, Gil. Yeah, we're just we're hanging out at the rooftop of Rome in Bali. It's a beautiful day, so nothing to complain about, of course.
Yeah, it's nothing to complain about. At least it doesn't rain in Bali at the moment. And it's, again, like, I really love this space. It's so beautiful. I actually come here quite often as well to have an afternoon tea and sometimes bother Alicia with her work. But now that we're sitting here at Rome, maybe you could also explain as well, like, what is actually a co-living space? I told Alicia a couple of days ago, maybe is co-living space a dorm for adults, and he disagreed with that. Maybe you can explain to the people what is co-living actually.
Yeah, so co-living, right, as it stands now, I think it's a new concept in terms of the future of housing, but co-living is also something that existed hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So typically people live together in tribes and in homes and families. And in fact, I think most people still, with the exception of the majority of the population in North America, sort of live that way. I think now co-living, for us at least, is a way to bring people together. The way that we're approaching co-living is doing that in a way that allows people to move around, still have all the things that they might look for in a place that feels like home. So community, private space, a great kitchen, somewhere to cook, places for people to come together. So it's really, I think the biggest benefits to co-living are, community and access to, especially, again, the way that we're approaching it globally. when you come to a new city, you have a sense of, access to this new place, and also all the things that you would need to feel comfortable and to feel at home. And of course, there are other co-living spaces doing things a little bit differently, which I think we would talk about later. But in a general sense, co-living is really just about sort of sharing space and bringing that community back together, and being inspired by each other, and being able to have some flexibility, not having so much stuff in one place, but having the opportunity to move around. So we're interested in redefining what home looks like, I think.
Redefining what home looks like. That's really cool. But can you also give like an example? Like you already mentioned, there are a lot of co-living spaces out there. Like maybe you can give an example of like, because what I know so far is Rome. Like I've seen, like because I've visited this place a lot. But like, is there any other co-living space out there, and what differentiates you? What differentiates Rome, and what differentiates this co-living space from each other?
Okay. Yeah, so again, there's a lot of new, I would say, co-living spaces popping up. And for those, some people are like, what is co-living? And like you said, like, is it norm? I would say that we're sort of, again, redefining how we can move around and call a new place home, especially with, 40% of the workforce in 2020 is predicted to be able to work independently, which is a huge part of the population. With billions of people coming on the internet, that means that people are not only able to have more access to moving around, but also working from wherever they are. So I think that's a big part of what, bringing home and work life together in a sense, and also global freedom, why it's trending so much more now, or at least starting to take off. And in comparison to other co-living spaces, there's a lot of co-living spaces like WeLive, for example, which is mostly based in the US, New York. Common is another great example. And we're all generally sort of creating the same thing. I think now economically, people are really struggling to find affordable housing. And they also, people don't want to be isolated and be on their own in the city. So again, just as a comparison, Common would be an apartment building. Everybody has their individual kitchen. They host a lot of different events. There's co-working space built in, places for people to come together. But their focus is more on generally millennials. They really connect with a millennial demographic, whereas we at Rome, our typical roamer, as we call them, are early to late 30s generally. So that's kind of the median demographic that we have. We have families, we have people who have decided to retire and travel the globe, and like the idea of moving around from place to place and having that sense of community and home, and also having the opportunity to know what to expect from our spaces. So they know that there's a co-working space, there's reliable internet, there's somewhere comfortable to sleep, they have privacy, as well as open spaces to share with others. And we're the first global co-living provider. So there are co-living spaces popping up around the world, but we're the only co-living space right now that's located on 3 different continents. And so, yeah, it's really an interesting space to be in, and an interesting test for us. So I think our demographics and the way, there are definitely 2 differentiators, but it also depends what people are looking for. So we definitely are able to accommodate people who are doing something we call slow travel, or interested in exploring what it's like to work remotely, who do so already, and a little bit in travel, and not spend so much time setting themselves up. Just want to show up and get right to work and get right to doing all the things in a new place. So
okay, is it also I mean, sorry, I hear some noise. Sorry, I hear some noises.
Is it me? Is it my braids?
Oh, no. It's just like a back sound, and then like I couldn't hear my own voice. But is it necessary for a co-living space as well to have a working space? I'm asking this because at Rome, you have also a space where you can work, and I think it's also ideal as well, because you see that a lot of people are also traveling around the world because they want to do work, and then this is one of the reasons why they come here as well. Is it? And so my other question is do you think co-living space is a competition for co-working space?
Yeah, that's a really question. I definitely, for us, we are not. Number one, we know that people who are traveling for whether we offer space for a week or a month at a time, which basically means we try not to do short term. Because we feel like people are more able to integrate into a community that way. But that being said, for weeks or months at a time, they're probably working during that time or taking, a break, or maybe they're writing a book, or, we've had families and, someone's homeschooling their kids while they're here, they're here for a month, they're probably doing something. So we, especially also, I'm going all over the place, but our team at Roam, we are also all remote. So we sort of kind of took everything that we've needed or looked for while traveling and needing to work at the same time, and put that into the spaces. So to answer the question short form, definitely we know that people that are traveling for extended periods of time would like to have a workspace and reliable internet where they know that they can accomplish the things that they would be able to do in their day-to-day lives at home or wherever they stay on a full-time basis. And in terms of competition, we definitely, again, like we don't actually, in Bali it's a bit different. We have a rooftop with a cafe and we have a co-working space that's totally outdoors, but it's also for the people that stay with us. So we don't open the co-working space for the public. It's dedicated to members only, which means, they have a reliable space to set up. They can leave their things there. They have great internet. And yeah, we like the idea, for example, sometimes working from home is hard. And I mean, obviously, all of our spaces are a little different. There's tons of space here in Bali. Yeah. But if you are, staying for 6 months, for example, with Ubud, we love having that partnership because it also gives our guests, our roamers, an opportunity to explore another community, to be inspired by other people, to be plugged in again to a new city or a new town, especially somewhere like Bali. And sometimes people want to work from somewhere else and then just call it. We like having those options, and I think those partnerships and relationships are really important part of the experience for people.
Okay. And say I'm also interested to hear as well about co-living. Like, so you started Roam when? Like 2 years ago, or a year ago?
Well, a year ago. So Roam officially opened. Bali was the first location, and Ubud. We officially opened the doors in March. So we had a soft launch in February, and then officially opened in March. So we're just over a year old now, and we have a space in London and Bali, of course, as well as Miami. So Miami was the second property to open, and then London, and then Tokyo, which just happened in January.
Okay, so can you maybe share like maybe some of the challenges of opening a co-living space? Because I think every area is different, right? I mean, with Bali, or like maybe Tokyo is a bit like, maybe you can share some of the stories and experience, like how opening when you open the co-living space.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, because we have definitely had opening across continents, that I would say, number one, our biggest challenge has been, there's all kinds of things that come with opening, from hotel license to business licenses to just the way that traditional business happens in different cities. It's so where you are. And we actually lease our spaces. So we don't purchase properties. We come in as an operator, but that also means that we're required to have all the right licenses. And so whether it's short-term hotel license, all of these different things to consider, that's definitely been, I think, very time-consuming and an interesting part of the process, because we've just kind of like dive right into a city and then we're like, okay, we'll figure it out now. And luckily we've been able to do that. And I think also we're able, we didn't really have a blueprint. So there's been a blueprint for, with any new business, it's always kind of like you make things up as you go along. But this is definitely, taking on 4 properties. We have about 122 rooms across the globe right now that we manage with a very small team, 15 people. We're all remote. We do have one dedicated community manager and facilitate, like we call it facility manager, which would be sort of on site to take care of operational things in each of the properties. But so definitely that challenge with different time zones and different and solving different things. And we've also developed everything from scratch. So from the website to the sign-up system to the app behind the scenes where people manage their bookings. It's been really interesting because as we get feedback and we're like, okay, let's create this because now we know what works. So yeah, and I think also finding our demographic in the beginning was really interesting because we had no idea. And then as people started to come and stay with us, our customers have really defined what we're doing and, you know, given us incredible feedback. And then we just continue to do more of that. So I would say definitely number one would be setting up across continents. It's been interesting.
So when you started Roam, when you started have the idea of like what the demography of like the people who are coming, who will be coming here, you say. So because you said before they were like Romans are mostly like 30 plus, is it like on purpose like targeted there, or like is it like going like when you after you open you started to discover that this is a target?
Yeah, so we definitely started discovering that those were, but that was, you know, who our personas were, what our demographic looked like. I think for us, you know, typically having the ability periods of time, you know, there's some degree of, for some people, this experience is brand new, but for a lot of people, the guests that we have been traveling or have experienced working remotely for quite some time already, especially depending on what city they're visiting. And so in terms of understanding our demographic, we found, and I think, you know, our price point, I would say definitely, oh gosh, it's so hard when it's live. I think that it really, we tend to attract people who are further in their careers or just more clear about what's happening in their lives. And so now they've made a decision to travel. They know what they need and want, and they start slowly connecting with customers that understand that we can provide a comfortable space, a co-working space, all these things that make it easy to show up in a new place. So I think because of that, we have, you know, the people that stay with us have so much more in common than they might, you know, if that makes sense. If any of that made sense. I told you I was going to get so nervous.
Well, no, but you're doing great, and then like the answers are really great as well. But do you filter these people as well? Like, is there any like filter system that you have here for Roam? Like, do you interview them before coming here, or is it welcome? Like, our Roam welcomes to everyone?
Yeah, so we, great question. We definitely value inclusivity. Like we've had all kinds of people stay with us. Again, we covered that, like people on a sabbatical, retired, families, millennials. I'm starting to really dislike that word, but I will say that we've had millennials, everyone from designers, all kinds of things, all kinds of people, which is unbelievable. It's been really interesting to see the diversity, and I think that's really special. And then in terms of the process, we have an application process. So we are, I wouldn't say that we screen people, but we want to make sure through the application process from our perspective, finding, for somebody to really make it through the application process and then to have a follow-up call. So we do interview everybody that stays with us. We know that they're committed and interested, and we don't see ourselves as a hotel or an Airbnb. We really want people to be invested in the idea of coming to a space that also includes community, and we want to know who those people are. So, it's really important to make sure that, of course, I would say there's only been 2 times in the last year I'm not going to go into those specific stories. When we had multiple people that it just wasn't a good fit. But even then, the sense of community we've been able to foster is strong enough to kind of handle that, which has also been really interesting. So yeah, we do have an application process, and most people that apply and come and stay with us are really excited and already sort of know about Roam and have been following us. They know what we offer, and they've heard about it from someone, so they're excited to join. And they've already sort of built this story into their lives and have an application process.
But what is the main criteria?
Not for puppies yet, though.
No. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was going to ask, like, what are the main criteria of the people, though? So what is the main thing that you're looking for when you're not screening? I hate that word as well, but when you're interviewing them, like, what is the profile you're looking for? Like, what makes you say yes?
When do we swipe right?
Yeah, when do we? Yeah, exactly. Definitely the photo.
Well, so we don't really have a specific criteria, I would say, but again, like what we would look for, I mean, we want to look for someone that's like able to finish the application. So we ask everybody, like, what gets you excited? How long are you staying? Do you have experience with this before? We ask, people like what they do professionally, which would have nothing to do with whether we would accept the application or not. But we just really want to get a sense of who people are and why they're excited to come. And again, I just think it really comes down to that. If people are filling out and taking time to find us to fill out the application, or they're referred through a friend, we know that they understand what they're signing up for, what they're applying for. So yeah, we definitely look for people who are excited to try this out, to stay with us, to live this way, to share communal space, to participate, to kind of redefine what our global future looks like as more people. And yeah, I think that's it, really. We don't have much of a criteria necessarily.
And besides promoting it through your website, do you also use like other platforms like Airbnb or Booking.com for this, or you just have it on your website, like for the booking and stuff?
So we have experimented. So we definitely, in the beginning, we were application only, so people would find us through. We were very lucky. We've had a lot of organic press, a lot of people, word of mouth. Word of mouth is our number one source, referrals. And then we played with, we've actually played with Airbnb in various locations, but to still implement the same process where we still have an interview with everyone. We still connect with them first, but it's been a really compatible platform because I think with Airbnb, we're very clear about what we offer and what we do. And so if people, on Airbnb, and typically travelers there are really compatible with what we offer. And I think it opens up an opportunity or a new accommodation for people that might want what we have but wouldn't otherwise find us, because kind of co-living is like this. I don't know how many people are really searching for like co-living space, but at the same time, there's a great customer example. It's like if you rent an Airbnb, for example, like completely on your own, or a hotel room, you're traveling for work, you get in, you sit down in your bed and you're like, well, what am I going to do now? Unless you have friends in a city, you've got like a very clear itinerary depending on how long you are somewhere new. But we're sort of able to be like, hey, like a pop-up community and pop-up local city for people. And we've, a lot of people have found us with Airbnb, and it's been really interesting. It's also a great test to find more about our customers and roamers. So that's the only platform we've experimented with, though. And also Justin Bieber is distracting me right now.
Yeah, Justin Bieber.
It's playing on the speaker.
Oh yeah, I have my the sound very loud. I mean, your the earplug, so I couldn't hear the music. But now that you say, you distract me as well with the song, Justin Bieber.
It's a great song. Great
Yeah.
song.
I forgot what I was going to say. I had a question
I'm so
before.
sorry.
No worries, no worries. And for Rome itself, like I think one of the benefits, if I'm right, so like roamers can also use another, like if they're in Bali and they're going to Miami, so if they take like the whole. Now, can you maybe explain, because they can also move to another space, right? They can also live in Miami if they want. Right?
Yeah, so it's really cool because in the beginning we had just one space. Of course, you had Bali. And now now that we have 4 properties, we've actually had a ton around from property to property, and some of our roamers have been to every single property, which is really cool. And we've been able to see that it's like people will stay with us. They stayed with us once, and they're like, oh, now I'm actually going to Tokyo for work, and I know you're open there, and that's where I want to stay because I know that when I get there, I'll have a really great room, a kitchen, cool people to talk to, a dedicated co-working space with really fast internet, like all the things that they've come to know. And then they get to explore it in a different city. And also our buildings and all of our spaces are totally different. It's like a new and familiar experience all at the same time in all of the cities. So yeah, we anyone who has already applied, already stayed, they can, stay in any property they want at any point. So yeah, they could just sign up and go from place to place. And we have people doing that, which is really cool. In fact, we have someone here, Ben. He was he's actually from London. He was in Miami for a month, and then he checked out the London space, and then now he's here in Bali for a month, which is cool. And because he was in Miami, it was like, this is a great way to travel, and he really loved it. And so he was inspired to come here.
That's really cool. I would like to check out the other room spaces as well. One day, maybe Tokyo first. But can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I just saw now all of a sudden these questions in the corner, and I was like, do we answer them now or do we do it later?
Oh, you can also answer them now. So there's a question from Tina. Do you get people to complain about the price? Maybe you can also explain about the price first.
Yeah. Well, Tina, that's a great question. Do people get upset about our price? I would say the people that stay with us do not complain about the price. And the people who don't stay with us have definitely made a different choice for accommodation and maybe are working with a different price point. For us, we're replacing what it looks like to have a space. So if you're in any urban city, I mean, in Tokyo, $2,600 a month US is what we charge. The middle of Roppongi, which is the nice in Tokyo, which is, what is it, like top 3 most expensive cities in the entire world. I was just there for 2 months, and I mean, it's very expensive. So we're actually at a great price point there in terms of accommodation. And I think something that people realize is the time that it takes to set up in a new city, as well as if you're looking for a co-working space, how many coffees do you buy? How much does that co-working space cost? Is it $400 a month? Is it $200 a month to have like 3 hours each month? There's also a lot of different perks and benefits that are included. So I think the people that stay with us really see the value. And if you chose or appreciate the value that we can offer, and especially even the fact that you have a space where you can do anything you'd like. So we sometimes joke around like it's like having a big mansion as a house that you might not otherwise have access to if you were on your own and traveling. But people have the chance to host workshops in the space. They can have, friends over. You could host a party if you want. Different. Just know that it's just, I guess I'm just having flashbacks right now of different experiences with Airbnbs from traveling the last 6 months when I just got back to Bali, and I'm like, man, just like that peace of mind is really great. And in terms of like long-term accommodation, if you showed up in London, for example, looking for a short-term accommodation, our price is still average or below, which is great. And I think sometimes that when people look at the price, they don't consider all of the other things that you pay for when you're staying in another city, or what short-term accommodation costs if it's a hotel or an Airbnb or something like that. With everything that the answer for us is people that stay with us don't complain about the price, and in fact, we have and most people after they stay, I think it's something like, it's pretty high, like in the 90s, the percent. People find that they got more for what they paid, and so
Yeah.
it's a long
No,
answer,
I think just to add to that as well, I mean, most co-working spaces also find the same challenges as well, that people are complaining about the price. I mean, people will always complain about the price. It's very human thing to do, you know, but like, why do you go to Starbucks then going to a co-working space, you know, like, while you can work on a coffee shop as well. There's another offer that we have as well, that also adding to the price, and there's a value to that. And I think, yeah, for us, like either co-working space or co-living spaces, just to make sure that we make them understand like what the value that we're offering and why we set this price. But I'm pretty sure, like same for like maybe like my experience at Ubud or other co-working spaces as well. People who come there, they know the value, and that's why they're joining, because there's a global community that they offer, and all these other features that Rome has, and then that other co-working spaces has as well, and that's why we're offering the same price. But you will always get this complaint anyways, right? Even like a really cheap hotel will also get a complaint about the price. So it's very.
Oh yeah, no, it's true. And don't even get me started on that whole co-working thing. It's like, you know what? I also think sometimes if you haven't been traveling and working for an extended period of time, or even like a week or a month at a time, or even if it's in your own city, like I've worked from home for years, I've worked in coffee shops, and I used to be traveling a lot, is actually living like in different countries and places. But working in coffee shops constantly and trying to find even just these small things, like trying to find like a plug. And if you're traveling, like, so for example, we have universal plugs in all of our rooms and all of our locations, to know that like whatever one you have, when you get there, it's already there. So now you don't, you come to Bali, like, have you ridden a scooter before? You're going to need that before you go to the grocery store to get your adapter. And like, to know, there's just all these different things. And I think the co-working space is a great example, because I think there's only so long that you can pop around from place to place and drink 10 coffees and have too much sugar and look for somewhere to plug your computer in, and it's distracting, and that works for some people. But I also think, or even Airbnb is like, I think I stayed in 11 different places when I was in London. And just like the internet works, it doesn't work. There's like the one Airbnb I stayed in was like, the window was broken. It was just really it was freezing cold the whole entire time. It's just like, and it's not a happy works together. So yeah, no, I totally get that. But it's so important.
Yeah. No, I was saying like it makes you miss Rome as well, because it is like yeah. And then I think for some people who are travelers as well, like they're okay with like any situation of like, like about the accommodation. But for some people, they're also looking for comfort, and like of course, because there's different kind of accommodation as well, hotels and stuff, and then what Rome offers is different. And what I was going to say, but I mean, is like, it offers something different for different market as well. Like, how do I say? Anyway, you probably get it. Sorry for the fury for this.
Yeah. No. It's definitely not for people who are looking for, a hotel room. We're kind of like, it's just another option. But it's so cool. Like, it's very something. I think something that we do very differently in terms of community, like when people come, it's like, it really is this sense of home wherever you are. Like, you instantly feel welcome. And so imagine being, and I love using Bali as an example, or even London or Tokyo. Like, if I went to Tokyo for the first time and I wasn't, staying with Rome, I don't know what I would have done. Like, my experience would have been just so different. And if you have to work and you have things to do, it's very draining, especially after you've traveled, to figure out, does anyone speak English? Where can I eat? Is this vegetarian, for example? Like, those are my personal struggles, but like, I don't know how to take the train. So you get there, and it's like, okay, I know I have a space to work. This bed is really comfy. I have somebody who can tell me like the best places to eat. We have guides for everybody. So all of the people who have stayed with that recommendations, our team makes a recommendation, our local community manager. So we have guides for people to check out. So, like if you read something through that, hey, these places are awesome. They've been curated by other awesome people. And also just that it feels like home. So we don't do things like, we don't really focus on like, co-working spaces. You guys have all kinds of different events all the time. And we have things that are more family focused, I would say. So like every Wednesday we have a community dinner that's themed like something else. It's kind of like, hey, what would you be doing like on a Wednesday night at home? How would you meet up with your friends on a Friday night for like cheese and wine? And it feels like home. I can't explain it any other way. Those are the touch points we've really tried to focus on. Like, what are the things you miss or want to have, or that you do when you're at home, and how can we create that familiarity in a new place? Yeah, so that's really special. Sorry, I'm on and on about it. And now it looks like you're all pixelated. Am I pixelated on your side? Oh, no.
On my side, it's all fine. I don't know from the viewers' point of view, but so far it's fine. And also, I think one of my last questions is like, so where's this co-living trend going? Like in a co-working world, we know as well, like a lot of co-working spaces are starting to get into this co-living world, and like you mentioned before as well, WeWork is as open as well. They just entered the co-living game with the WeLive. What is it for co-living? What is the next step? Like, how can you take this into another level?
Well, I think it's a really great question. I don't think any of us really know what that future looks like. I know definitely that hospitality needs to change. Hospitality needs to change quickly to keep up with the way that people are traveling now, with the workforce changing, the way that people can do anything from their computer with a Wi-Fi connection from wherever in the world they are. And with billions of people coming online, that means more people are going to be moving around and doing this. I hope that we are able to, I think in the future, as prices are rising and people are changing their priority in terms of what they spend on, and maybe again that's more of a millennial demographic, but that's also people who are retiring. You want less stuff, you want more flexibility, you don't want to be in one place. As that becomes more popular and more prevalent, it's exciting because I think we're able to pioneer completely new, but also something that existed traditionally in the way housing was, with people sharing and moving, and people never really stayed in one place historically for long periods of time, 100 years, so maybe 1,000 years, whatever. So I think this looks like more of this. More, if I think about going to my apartment in Canada and how much better it would be if there was a room in my city, or if even the apartment building, if it had a co-working space, or if it had like potlucks or like barbecues, or you actually knew your neighbors and the people that you live next door to, like that sense of family and community. The further technology pulls us apart from each other, even though it feels like it pulls us closer together, I think being humanity and connection, and I think sharing space or communities with people is a big part of that future. And I think we're able to make an impact on that through co-living, and it doesn't matter if it's WeLive or Roam. That's what we're up to, and I think that's what people will be looking for in the next 5 and 10 years and beyond.
Yeah, and I think as well, I can add up to that as well. Like there's a huge interest from the hospitality industry to change their module a bit, because they realize as well a lot of people are now travelers, location going into location independent, and they need a sense of community wherever they go. I've heard, like in our conference as well, we've had a couple of like hotels that actually came to our co-working conference because they're interested to know like what is it, what do these people need. Like they would like to also transform their hotel into something more homey community, like what Rome is doing as well. So the certain, like, definitely there is an interest there. Like that's where it's going. And also, like, what she said as well, people are going more transient. I mean, they expect more connectivity. Most of us are, like, nowadays, I think, are not saying that we're going to stay single forever, but then, like, people are not really like looking for no, like, like in the past, like people are like more looking for stability, like having family and living in a place where, like, I don't know what I'm saying. No, I'm not gonna stay single forever. What are you saying? But like, people are like they tend to be more transient, and like living together is something that, like, it's kind of the mindset of like people nowadays. So I think it is a trend that is like it's going to be even more bigger in the next coming years even. And probably, well, Rome already saw it from year ago, and we're probably going to have more and more spaces opening around the world. Is there any like plan like to open a new city? Like, I know San Francisco, I guess. Is it the new?
Eventually, we actually at the moment are looking. So we did San Francisco. It was a test for us. And we would, if we open in San Francisco, probably consider a different location. But we do have LA. We're looking at LA, New York, and Berlin in the nearest future. And I can't tell you all of the details, but I can say that. And it's interesting because I thought, hey, people will want to spend maybe time just, under sunny destinations and places that are more economically accessible, like if you're traveling for a long time. But now people are, they're giving up their places, they're giving up their stuff, they're moving around. And maybe they're even looking for a city they want to live in full time, but they don't commit, like New York, and be like, I'm just going to move here. I mean, some people do that, but some people want to dip their feet in the water first. And we found that our customers now are really asking for first-tier cities like that. So that's where Tokyo was born. That's where London was born. That's why Berlin's coming up. That's why LA is coming up. It's like people feel lonely in these cities, and also these are very popular destinations for working travelers, and even just like quick business trips. So they're 2 weeks or 10 days or something like that. And you just want to be isolated in a hotel room by yourself, or, maybe have a space to be able to invite people over for dinner somewhere else. I mean, there's all kinds of different scenarios, but yeah, so I can say that much.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, no, thank you for sharing everything about Rome and like all this, some tips as well. And I think if there's no more question, there's no more question, then I think I'll end the webinar. So again, like, thank you, Alicia, for the time. And thank you everyone for tuning in as well. For the CAP members, you will receive this on your through your email as well, so you can watch it live as well. And then even in the next coming weeks, this recording will be available on the platform, which will be launched on the 27th of June. So you can watch it and watch it again. If you miss Alicia, you can always watch this video again. And yeah, so thank you so much. And in 2 weeks, we will have another webinar with the business about why you should take your community online. And thank you as well for Tina for tuning in. And yeah, so have a nice day. And meanwhile, I'm gonna show you the pool because I really just love the pool of Rome.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know if you can see.
Oh, are we gonna do like a double viewing? Okay, I'll take you over here too.
Look at that! Somebody's swimming though. Is that someone? No, there's actually.
There you are. They're my face. Oh, is it Kutu the dolphin?
There's Alicia. Maybe. Is that? Oh no, that's just a light actually. Oh, this is really cool.
Yeah.
So that's Alicia is showing part of her working space. And this is the
Auntie.
kitchen as well. And they
The
also
yoga
have
deck. That's nice.
yoga deck there. I love this virtual tour.
Yeah. Fido, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for having me here as well, Rome. All right. Okay, then. Well, ciao. Have a great, productive week. Bye bye. Ciao.